Not only are you stuck in space on some unknown creepy planet where your oxygen is running low, but you're also fighting a killer monster that's trying to seep into your brain. With your crew dead around you, with no way of knowing what the hell even happened to them, and only having this one random guy as your ally who you don't even know if you can trust. So yeah, we're here to break down the mistakes made, what you probably should do, and how to survive the alien monsters in Ash. Rhea suddenly wakes up after having some gnarly and psychedelic dreams of people getting attacked by some kind of creature, having their faces melt off, and yeah, even worse. She's in some bluish chamber type room and has no memory of how she got there or how she got the wound on her head. Her hands are bloody as well, and she pushes herself up and hears the intercom system that it's trying to reboot and activate power, but can't because of some kind of issues. It's all f***ed up. Turns out Rhea is in some kind of scientific research center in the middle of space, and it's giving hella spaceship vibes. She finds a flashlight and tries to explore, only to be met with even more darkness and even sees blood all over the walls. Everything's kind of broken and damaged. The intercom speaker system says that the security system has been breached, and the system's failing, and Rhea seems like the only alive human person on this whole thing. She follows a blood trail to immediately see a dead body. So all of the crewmates are totally dead, but not only dead, but very obviously killed by something. I mean, this guy has a knife stabbed inside him, which Rhea then pulls out of him to use as a weapon. She walks around the corner and yeah, there's body number 2. This is not looking good for her. She walks up to a screen that's been shouting error messages at her and tries to click some buttons, and she manages to activate the station's standby power, which opens the door to the very outside planet where she sees a body in a body bag of sorts lying outside. Despite this very sinister warning that the outside might be dangerous, the girl steps outside to explore. She sees a human-like figure in the distance, which seems to be mirroring her moves. Is it a creature? Is it just her reflection? I don't know, but this is creepy as f***. And then it suddenly fades away. Rhea starts coughing outside, wondering where the hell she is, and looking up to the sky to see a huge vortex-like thing just floating above her. She starts coughing even more because, yeah, it probably wasn't a good idea to venture off into an unknown planet without any sort of suit or protection, and she struggles to make it back inside before passing out. Luckily, she makes it and manages to close the door just in time. So, this woman woke up in a space station with no memory of how she got here, where she is, or what to do. Not only is she alone here, but she's surrounded by dead bodies. Now, if I saw dead bodies around, the first thing that I would do is get some freaking protection, whether that's weapons or more space gear or whatever. It doesn't matter. When you don't know anything at all, it's better to be safe than sorry, and I sure as hell would not be wandering off into space with no spacesuit. Now, in general, humans can only survive without air for about 3 minutes, and this doesn't account for space air that might not even be breathable at best, or could be filled with like toxic poisons at worst. Which I would assume it's the latter, because the overhead system has been giving you warning announcements that it's broken and oxygen is depleting. If oxygen is depleting, I think the common sense thing to do would be to not open the door to the outside. Who knows how much air she has left inside the space station, and again, when you're having memory issues, the best thing to do is play it safe and try to avoid doing stupid things like exploring outside for no reason. There's tons to explore inside where it's safe first. Also, if you have a wound to the head, maybe get that checked out first or try to get some first aid, a band-aid, a cold towel, probably disinfect it. You don't know how long you've been out, and frankly, the weird fever spikes are probably from your injuries or concussion. You're on a big fancy space station. There has to be a first aid kit somewhere. Maybe pop some Advil before you venture off into space, some Tylenol, any store brand ibuprofen. I don't discriminate. The speaker repeats that the station's oxygen levels have now been compromised, and Rhea has even more weird flashbacks and hallucinations of her past crewmates being alive. Remembering that her and a group of fellow astronauts were all eating dinner together and celebrating this new planet that has an atmosphere that's almost breathable, and how they can all prosper there. They're seeing cheering and saluting and dedicating their meal to Brian, one of their crewmates. Turns out this group was part of a larger expedition of people who were all sent out to discover inhabitable planets, and the past planets have all failed, but this one is looking promising. Rhea keeps walking around the station and finds some first aid gear and sticks the patches up to her skin per the instructions, which seem to give her some sort of energy. She examines her cut in the mirror and showers off all the blood while trying to remember who she is. She also has some pretty bad bruises all over her shoulders and back, so it seems like this woman has been in some shit. Looking through the different bedrooms of her now gone crewmates in an attempt to rejog her memory, she comes across Kevin's room and finds a journal with diagrams and notes of herself doing science-y plant shit, only to be interrupted when she hears some noises out in the hall though, as the intercom announces that movement has been detected on the exterior airlock. Uh-oh. Going to see who the hell that is banging on the door outside, she arms herself with the knife she grabbed earlier and immediately attacks the new guy once he comes inside. Pushing him down, punching his helmet, and demanding to know who he is, the man calls her by her name and asks why the she's attacking him. And she's like, "Whoops, my bad. Sorry, dude. I don't remember you." Brian introduces himself again anyway and explains that Rhea put out a distress call and so he came back to rescue her. She admits to being confused and having some sort of memory loss and tells Brian that when she woke up, everyone was dead and she has no idea what the hell has happened. Alright, now when it comes to amnesia and memory loss, there's honestly not a ton that you can do. Of course, there's long-term therapy solutions for those struggling, but they don't have time for that right now. Let's be real. The best thing to do would be what she was doing before, more investigating, revisiting the rooms and personal items to rejog her memory. It's been proven that things like sensory clues can be effective in connecting people's memories to specific events, especially smells. Do you ever smell something instantly and get taken back to a moment in your childhood? I do. Noses and brains are sort of crazy like that. Now, I'm not saying that Rhea should go around sniffing everything like everyone's clothes, like a dog, but Rhea should be utilizing all of her resources here. She should find any sort of journal, photo, or video footage. I mean, there's obviously a whole ass computer system here. She should be trying to figure it out and see if it has like security footage or crewmate records. This is an official and important expedition. There's no way that there isn't documentation about the people and the ship. And based on the speaker intercom system, it seems pretty well set up and intelligent. Rhea, did you try shouting "Hey Siri" yet? As for meeting Brian, this guy sort of seems to be your only source of hope now, especially given he has a memory and rational train of thought. In a situation where you're alone, confused, and injured, it's good to stick together and keep your allies close because he may be the only one you have left here. Don't f this up. Rhea shows Brian to the dead crewmates, and once again tells him that she doesn't know where she is, or who she is, or anything at all. Brian goes somewhere and tells her to wait, and Rhea uses a blanket to cover the dead crewmate's body. Brian then comes back with a little robot first aid kit that only speaks Japanese, and it scans her body and stitches up the cut on her forehead. Brian explains how they were sent on a mission to explore the planets, and the one they're on now is called Ash. Brian's job here was to stay in orbit around the planet to keep communications with Earth. She says that she's been having fever spikes, and he says it's due to the swelling in her brain from blunt force trauma. And neither of them know for sure whether or not her memory is ever gonna come back. Sucks to suck, I guess. He tells her to get some rest and then leaves her alone. But later on that night, she wakes up during the night to some flashing lights outside the door, and she suddenly sees a monster-like figure creeping the in on her. But then it disappears, seeming to be a figment of her imagination. Alright, so not only is Rhea having fever spikes and memory loss, but she's also having hallucinations and nightmares. Forget what I said about Advil, because I think this girl needs some anti-convalescence, which can be used if hallucinations are related to seizure-like activity, which it kind of feels like it is. And again, maybe this ship doesn't have a huge drug choice option, but it also doesn't seem like Rhea really tried to look that hard. All she did was find the healing patches, slap one on her neck, and called it a day, which, you know, she doesn't really even know what these do or how they work. I wouldn't trust things just by following some cartoony directions on a box. And I know this is way easier said than done, but if drugs don't work, maybe she could will her way into being clear-headed by really trying to calm herself down and meditate. I know it's hard to do when you're surrounded by dead people and don't know where you are, but panicking is only going to make things worse and make the amnesia worse as well. Therapy and cognitive treatments work because you're actually reworking shit inside your brain to give yourself better control over your emotions. Don't want to have creepy nightmares? You need to manage your stress and anxiety. The next day, Rhea decides to suit up and dispose of all the bodies of the dead crewmates and bring them off the ship. As she brings them off one by one, her and Brian realize that there's one body not accounted for: Clark. Where the hell is Clark? She wonders if Clark is maybe out on the planet somewhere, and also wonders if he's the one who is responsible for killing everyone on the ship. Brian says that she just needs to forget about Clark because they have more pressing issues to deal with right now. Looking down at the dead body she's dragging, she suddenly has a graphic and gory hallucination of the crewmate dying. Like, this girl is just straight up having panic attacks now, and I wouldn't blame her. Rhea runs back inside, and as Brian tries to comfort her and ask if she's okay, she snaps at him and tells him that she needs some space. So she finds some bloody scissors on the ground and suddenly has a memory of herself stabbing and killing the crewmates. Frantic and scared, she goes back to her room and puts on more of the healing patches and cries from the overwhelmness of it all. Alright, so it turns out trying to relax and meditate the memories back isn't going to work, but exposure therapy might. Rhea keeps having flashbacks and remembering things as she engages with blood and weapons and violence, so her best plan of action here would be to find all of the crewmates who died and really study them. Study their wounds, study their injuries and causes of death. She could even take them to that Japanese scanning robot and see if that could scan them or know anything. It seemed pretty intelligent, and she sort of only used it once for herself and called it good. Maybe that would help jog Rhea's memory and bring out more pieces of the puzzle. Later, Rhea apologizes to Brian about lashing out and admits that she started to remember some things, but she doesn't know if they're true or not. In conversation, Brian tells her that she and Kevin were romantically involved, but she doesn't remember that. Just then, the station's alarm starts going off again and again, saying that the oxygen levels are critical and there's been some kind of breach. So they suit up to go investigate. They find the opening that's been torn through by something and begin patching it up, because every minute that it's open, they lose 10 hours of breathable air. Like, oh, Rhea walks outside and finds blood on the wall, meaning that someone's been in here. Hearing something, she walks deeper into the maintenance shafts, but the space is too tight to fit through in the suit, so she takes off her helmet. What? Why? Anyways, this woman is now breathing poisonous air, so she finds the opening and goes to screw it shut, but suddenly has visions of crewmates dying, again, bloody and face melting and all horrific like. Damn, girl! Guys, rule number 1 of surviving in space while your oxygen is depleting would be do not take off your protective suit. If there's a breach and it's unsafe to go all the way to the origin, there's plenty of ways for them to just block off the ripped part without venturing into the whole maintenance shaft. They have tools, they have materials and metal. They could totally just patch it up here, and maybe it wouldn't be a permanent fix, but they're losing oxygen. Not to mention, the helmet serves as not only air, but protection to the head. They've discovered that someone else might have been in here and tampered with shit, so why would Rhea venture off into an enclosed space where it's difficult to move around with no protective gear? Someone could totally just rock up behind her and kill her. New channel alert! New channel alert! What up, Meat Shields? It's your boy dropping in real quick to let you know some huge news. How to Beat is officially expanding its universe with a brand new channel. Yeah, that's right, even more yapping from your boy truly. The new channel is called Couch Logic. This latest endeavor from the How to Beat team will dive deeper into everything pop culture. We'll have ranking videos, video essays, and more. We'll be covering all types of movies, TV shows, and video games, and not just stuff in the horror genre. And it won't just be me. Many of the other behind-the-scenes team members at How to Beat, aka my homies, will be stepping into the spotlight to help me take this to the next level. So tell a friend to tell a friend, come check out the new channel, Couch Logic, linked in the description down below. Based on all of her fragmented memories and visions, Rhea hypothesizes that maybe Clark was infected by something like rabies that caused her to have a psychotic break, leading her to kill the whole crew and then sabotage the ship to kill them as well. Brian argues once again that she needs to stop focusing on what happened here, stop searching for answers, and focus on the task at hand, which is getting the f*** out of here. I mean, they just lost 30% of their oxygen, their orbital escape is just 5 hours away now, and they need to prioritize that over finding answers and filling in the gaps in Rhea's memories. Like, she can remember later. They needed to escape now or they're gonna suffocate and die. She asks if they're just gonna leave Clark to die, and Brian yells that they have no choice given the circumstances, and waiting around or searching for Clark isn't worth the risk of wasting time. She then goes into Kevin's room to try and remember him and reads through his journal and smells his uniform, which kinda jogs her memory of how Kevin used to play the trumpet for her. Suddenly, Rhea wakes up in a dream of a drone watching her and flying away, as she wakes up in a bed in the middle of a nature-esque forest wearing a fantasy dress. She sees Kevin and they both stare into a hole in the ground of darkness and space that blasts into a bright light that blinds her. Kevin says that it hurts, and suddenly Rhea's vision shifts to her stabbing Kevin to death on the ship. Terrified, Rhea wakes up from her nightmare. She walks out of the room and sees the same drone from her dream sitting on a shelf. So she decides to connect the drone to the Japanese medical robot to pull up the footage. While reviewing the footage, she sees the whole crew, led by Brian, exploring the planet and following the strange emission readings Brian's been getting. They find a huge man-made type hole in the ground, except it's not man-made, it's alien-made. Point is, someone was already here terraforming the planet. They celebrate the discovery, and one of the crew members throws a rock down the hole to see how deep it is. But the hole emits a strange sort of light and energy before blasting the rock back up into the crew member's face, killing him instantly. Everyone just kind of freaks out, and then the hole explodes and pushes out some kind of crazy energy into the atmosphere. What the hell is going on in this movie? Brian comes to check on Rhea, and she gets angry at him and his involvement and accuses him of not telling her what he knew. I mean, Rhea's been in here losing her mind trying to remember shit, but Brian knew exactly what they were here for, what mission they were on, and he argues that he's just been trying to freaking keep them both alive, and that Rhea knowing the truth would have been a liability because she's so emotional and crazy and distrusting right now with her memory issues, she would have turned against him. He said he was going to tell her once they got back to Earth safely. She then tells him that she remembers killing Kevin and another crewmate, but she doesn't know why, and if they leave the station, then she's never gonna know. She suggests waiting 2 more hours in hopes that her memory will come back because the healing patches that she's been using have been slowly working, but Brian says, ain't no f***ing way, and they have to get out of here, like ASAP, like pronto. They need to share the information they've found here. Dying now and not passing on this information would ruin the entire point of the mission. Now, Brian has been arguing about the same thing over and over, and I get that you're friends and crewmates and all, but the entire crew is dead. Rhea is sort of crazy. If it were me, I would dump her ass and just look out for myself at this point. If Rhea wants to stay and die, that's on her, but you can't be trying to waste time convincing somebody who doesn't even remember who she is. Sorry, it's the selfish decision, but sometimes you have to cut your losses and just look out for number one. If Rhea is a liability, which she is, you gotta run, dude. Sometimes the best way to beat these situations is to run. Fend for yourself. Don't associate with crazy people. Like, yeah, it totally sucks for her, but run. Rhea walks away and goes back to her room, and Brian later goes to check on her again and apologizes and tells her that the orbital station will line up in 2.5 hours. So he puts more of the healing patches on her since she said that they've been getting less effective the more that she uses them, and then leaves her to it and says that he'll come get her when it's time to leave. Rhea stands up and suddenly starts to feel woozy when she has a vivid memory flashback of being attacked by one of the crewmates, Adhi. She fights back, but he's aggressive and really coming at her, so she scrambles on the floor and tries to get away, begging him to stop, failing to fight back as she's overpowered. She grabs a pair of scissors and starts stabbing him to death out of self-defense, hacking and slashing and fighting for her life, stabbing his leg, crawling on top of him, and then pretty brutally plunging the scissors through his chest over and over again until he's dead for good. She then wakes from her vision and hears someone outside of her room, so she goes to investigate and tries to tell Brian that it wasn't just Clark who was infected, but maybe all of them. She sees some new person in a suit in the station and goes to hide in the maintenance shafts to get away. But then, oh shit, Rhea suddenly comes across Brian's dead body and his face is all smashed in. Like, what? The suited person pops out, turning out to be Clark, and the two fight as Clark starts attacking her. Rhea has a flamethrower and tries to blast her and run away, but Clark just rocks up and extinguishes herself with the fire extinguisher. No biggie. Clark keeps attacking in the bathroom, and Rhea shoves the shower hose into Clark's helmet, turns on the water, and fully drowns her dead, holding her down.
All right, now hold up. Clark is alive? And has been here this whole time? There's no way Clark was just hiding in the ship and they haven't noticed him until now. And given it seems like Clark is totally infected and crazy and trying to kill her, why would it have waited until now to attack and pop out? Meaning Clark was probably outside and made her way back in. Which brings me to secure the perimeters. You know there's some crazy monster out there, and Rhea already hypothesized that Clark was alive and is probably the one who killed them all. Why would they not take action to either hide or get themselves in a safer location? They don't have a ton of time before they need to book it the hell out of here, but maybe locking a few extra doors could have helped. Maybe setting up a trap outside to stop shit from coming in, or maybe even just being more aware of your surroundings? God!
She takes Clark's body to the Japanese medical robot, which scans her body and reveals that Clark was perfectly healthy and actually didn't have any infection inside of her or anything like that. So either the robot is bad at its job or Rhea is just going hella crazy. The station announces that the orbital lineup is now in position, so Rhea is forced to suit up and head over to Brian's escape pod to leave. However, when she gets there, she sees that it's not working at all and it won't take off no matter how many random buttons that she presses until she fully reboots the entire security system of the entire station. Oh, She's about to miss her window of escape. She goes back to the station and puts on more healing patches and then scans Brian's dead body to see if she can get any more information. And she discovers that Brian died 51 hours ago, which is way before Brian came rocking into the station tonight. Like, wait, what? Hold on, pause. Yeah, y'all, Brian has been dead this entire time, and the person that she's been talking to has been a hallucination. The overhead speaker keeps announcing that there's an unusual life form detected nearby, and upon investigating, Rhea comes across the shadow-like figure that was mirroring her earlier, taking the form of Brian as it approaches her. Rhea concludes that the shadowy figure / Brian / whatever infectious creature this is used Rhea to kill everybody. The infection says that it's a part of her, and shoves his hand into the cut on Rhea's head, which, in a flashback of memories, it turns out that two of the crewmates discovered some alien-like creature in the wall of the station that's been taking over the insides of their technology and forced Brian to come down from orbital to help. Upon opening all of their station's paneling, they find the alien creature has spread everywhere, kinda like a virus. The whole crew, including Rhea, discuss what the hell they should do about it when they all agree to abandon ship and get the out of there. And Rhea is the one that insists that everyone stay so that they can finish the mission. That the reason they agreed to do this and sacrifice their lives is so they can discover new technology that can save mankind. Alright, now I'm all about being passionate and wanting to save mankind with new discoveries, but you can't save mankind if you're literally dead and don't make it back to tell them. There's a good balance between wanting to find more and wanting to just take what you have because that's the best it can be. Ever heard of Icarus? This woman would not survive a game show where her option is to run away with the money she's earned. She'd keep going and lose it all, especially when it comes to a virus, an alien virus that they know nothing about. This thing is taking control of their entire station. It's spreading like crazy and out of control, and they have no idea what the health effects or dangerous risks it has. They need to make like eggs and scramble, because if our world knows anything about crazy viruses, yeah, they don't want that spreading. At least mask up. Rhea goes to pluck part of the virus to do some scientific studies on and sees that it's a self-replicating kind of technology. The virus suddenly grows and breaks out of its petri dish and attacks Addy, crawling up his nose and fully taking over his entire brain. It's growing inside him and turns him freaking feral and evil, and this is what led to the memory before of him attacking Rhea and her needing to defend herself and kill him with the scissors. When the crew comes to check on her, Addy attacks Kevin and a huge fight ensues between all of them. them. Kevin getting pinned, and it looks like he's about to be cooked when Rhea slides him over a knife and he kills Addie by stabbing him in the neck. Unfortunately for him, the virus uses that opening to transfer into Kevin instead, going in through his ear. So now Kevin is going crazy and attacks Rhea, which gives her the gash on her forehead. Rhea is almost done for when Clark shoves Kevin out of the way, but the two get into an even bigger fight with Kevin bashing in Clark's face. Brian runs away into the maintenance shafts, but Kevin follows him in there and kills him, bashing his face in with a pipe, just like how we saw his dead body was killed. Rhea pulls Clark aside and tries to save her, giving her a new helmet and sending her off to make it into the orbital station and signal for help. Rhea stays behind to be a hero, arming herself with a knife as she goes to fight the virus thing. And then she approaches Kevin, who tries to comfort her and tell her that it's okay, and she hallucinates herself kissing him back when they were a real couple before remembering that her boyfriend is actually an infected virus and stabs him in the chest. Boy, what in the goddamn is going on in this motherfucking movie? The alien crashes out of the side of his head and crawls into the gash in the side of Rhea's head, leading to her waking up where this all started before, with her waking up in the room confused as all hell. So yeah, it turns out that Rhea has had this thing inside her the entire fucking time, and the virus is the reason for her memory issues, her fever spikes, hallucinating Brian, and literally everything crazy that's been going on. Now, I'm sorry, but you're telling me that Rhea experimenting on the alien life form is the reason everyone got infected in the first place? Again, why are people experimenting and putting this under microscopes when they don't even know its full threat or power? Hello? It's obviously mutating at dangerous rates. Surely getting it closer to human contact would be safe, and once you see it crawling up the nose and ears and brains of all your friends, nah, you need to set that thing aflame and kill it from the source so it can't keep transferring to other hosts. Speaking of, this is where we need more protection, people. The virus is obviously getting access and crawling into each other's bodies through open holes like ears and mouths and open wounds. So the best thing to do to protect yourself would be to suit up in hella layers and protective gear so that it can't get in. I'm thinking helmets covered in hella tape. Back in the present, the alien goes on to do some strange speech inside Rhea, saying that this is their planet that they found before the humans, that the aliens are superior, and that they're planning to use Rhea to return to Earth so that they can infect and spread and take over the entire human race. Refusing to let this happen and be used like that, Rhea pulls off the healing patches, which somehow give her more control over her own body. She goes to the Japanese medical robot and scans herself and tries to excise the parasite. It painfully goes into her skull and jabs at her with its little claws, and she pulls it out and she regains all of her memories and all of her past hallucinations fade away. However, this is not over yet because Brian's dead body sits up behind her, now being controlled by the alien. He turns into some kind of crazy deformed monster and he attacks her brutally, pinning her down. Rhea manages to grab a screwdriver and stabs him in the face just long enough to get up, put on her suit, and make a run for it. It keeps attacking as she stabs it and wrestles it in a final showdown, and she runs through the halls and grabs a flamethrower again. She attacks, lighting him on fire with an epic scream, hopefully killing it for good. As she escapes the fully burning station, she makes it back to Brian's ship, which is now working, and she takes off towards Earth. She flies off, heroic and emotional, as she remembers all of her fallen friends and has fond memories returning to her that she has her brain back. But little does she know, the entire orbital lander is already infected with more aliens and has been fully infected. That. Ash 2025. And you know what? I with Flying Lotus and I really with this movie. Solid science fiction sci-fi. Yeah. Interesting twist at the end, and I like the bisexual lighting going on, you know, the pinks and the blues and everything like that. But as for the decisions that everybody made in this movie, God damn! No wonder you ended up on a How to Beat episode. But anyways, you gotta let me know down in the comments if you would have done anything differently. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe and check out that How to Beat playlist for more videos just like this one. I'm the guy. We'll see you in the next episode and have a damn good day.